One of the mottos taught to me in many different forms by many different mentors: fail forward. The only W's we take are wins, and the only L's we take are lessons. Now, I've had the opportunity to pioneer many projects, programs across my working life. At 18, holiday clubs for under-resourced kids. At 19, chess clubs as a means to build up the kids. 20, 4 million rand feeding scheme during COVID, and we're able to feed 250,000 people. At 20, the Durbanville drop-in center. At 20, the cold front sleeping sites. 21, the Durbanville Center of Hope. At 22, community dinners in the area. 22, the transitional housing project as part of MES. And 25, the Paddo Center of Hope. All the while creating systems that get people out of poverty. Now, it was around this time that my thinking started shifting. Now, I had known a lot about poverty, but really what I needed to learn about was prosperity, as it was prosperity that we were building into individuals' lives so that could transcend poverty. And indeed, perhaps if we wanted to scale this worldwide, we needed to understand prosperity. Also, what had happened one day is that as I was leading a meeting in our transitional housing, we were speaking about where the guys were going to move to next. Now, this is incredibly important because often we find, after having walked a journey with people, is that people can fall back into old people, places and things because of ineffective housing. Welcome to the South African housing crisis. As I was sitting down with the guys, I asked them, what if I just buy a property, we subdivide it up, and we turn it into affordable housing? Now, there was a silence at first, and then overwhelming ecstasy. And this year, that business, Ezluini Housing, crossed the R1 million revenue mark. No donor funding, no government support, just capital investment to start. And yes, I said business, not NGO, because I believe that large scalable solutions solve poverty through profit. And in the rest of this video, I'm going to explain to you how you can create a business like this. Let's call it the ABCs of impact entrepreneurship. A, approach. First, you need to really understand your customer, and I mean really understand. Because in order to design a good solution, you've got to meet people where they are at. And for me, this looked like sleeping on the street. This looked like going into areas where people didn't want to support businesses and supporting those businesses. This looked like me building pathways out of poverty for people. And this was all my market research. And through all of this, I came to the same conclusion that the Constitutional Court of South Africa has just come to. The most important part of housing is location. Now, in some senses, this seems so obvious, right? But this isn't what most affordable housing businesses solve for. People are willing to compromise on a whole lot of other things, as long as the location suits them well. And another thing was the big idea that restoration happens through recreation. I saw on the days that people engaged in recreational activities, whether this was having a meal together, watching a soccer game, or just playing PlayStation together. People smoked less, had better days at work, and consumed less processed sugar. Why? Because an environment was created for them to flourish. And I knew in every Ezluini property, I needed to create an environment for people to flourish. And so the first point of impact entrepreneurship is approach. You've got to approach your ideal consumer and immerse yourself in their world. And bonus points if you document everything along the journey. The second point is to build, or rather the way you build, because you need to build in such a way that you co-create the solution with the person the solution is for. For me, this looked like running all of my ideas past people that were in need of well-located affordable housing. People working and living on the street, people in shelters, people in transitional housing, and even people that had decent housing but didn't like the location of where they were based. Everything from the rent I charged to the times that the geysers would be on in the property, I ran past people. So if you're planning on building a business that changes the world, note that you need to build in the correct way. All right, now you've met people where they are at. You've approached them in the right way. Now you've started to build correctly. You're journeying with people. It is time now to check if what you're doing is actually working. And so the way that you define success should reflect that. You should not define success by inputs, activities, outputs, outcomes, but rather impact. In my case, input, not the amount of properties I have. Activities, not the amount of units I build. Output, not the amount of tenants that occupy those units. Not even outcomes, the amount of opportunities created by the better location, but by impact, the observable long-term difference made in the tenants' lives. The third principle is to check, because what you're doing can be helping in a hurtful way. Check that you're defining success in the right way. And now it's your turn. It's indeed very difficult to start thinking in this way, but it's incredibly necessary because a difference is needed to be made out there in the world, and you are called to make it. No, your first idea won't work, but that's the whole point of why you need to start. Remember how we started this video? We've got to fail forward. Start the thing you've been wanting to start. And no, it won't be perfect, but you'll learn from it. And if you made it this far, I assume you want to do exactly that. And I'm pleased to announce that I'm creating an experience where you can see what it means to make the world a better place. Come alongside the CEOs of big businesses and NGOs creating real value for people. Come alongside architects and engineers that know how to design places for change. And come alongside movement leaders that have helped shape policy in our country and around the world. If you want to know more on this experience, you can click below and join the waiting list. The world is waiting for you, and I am looking forward to changing the world with you.